Hello, and welcome to your Urban Connection. And I want to get right into a story that I think will interest most of you, if not all of you. And this story is about two of our politicians in the state of Kansas. And one of them is a congressman uh, for the 4th District in Kansas. And I'll show you the gentleman we're talking about right here. And his name is Ron Estes. And Ron, as I stated, is the congressional representative for the 4th District in Kansas. And he's been in that position since 2017. Now, Mr. Estes, since 2017, has not held, well, first of all, let me tell you this. Mr. Estes is a MAGA, Trump supporting uh, congressman, and he stands behind the president's agenda 100%. He votes with the president at least 99% of the time. He's voted for all of the executive orders that the president has put forth in his new term since January the 20th. Mr. Estes serves on a committee of the Doge Efficiency Committee that is led by Elon Musk. Okay, an unelected individual who is causing all kinds of havoc in the 8 weeks since the president was elected. Well, not elected, but actually inaugurated and took office. Mr. Estes has been one of his right-hand men. He's been one of those that the president can count on. He supported and endorsed Mr. Ron Estes in at least, I think, his last two campaigns for office. Mr. Ron Estes, having been the congressional representative for District 4 since 2017, has continually refused to be transparent with his constituents in the district. As of today, Mr. Estes is running and hiding from his constituents as they continue to make phone calls to him, which he does not return, send emails to him, which go unaddressed, and basically doing everything they can to reach out to him to try to get Mr. Estes to come and sit down and have an open town hall meeting with his constituents, which he has refused to do. Now, in the last 3 days, matter of fact, we'll go back 4 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, Ron Estes has been playing hide and seek with his constituents here in Kansas, in the 4th District. Now, let me tell you what I mean. It was announced earlier in the week that Mr. Ron Estes would be attending a meeting at the Social Security office in Wichita, Kansas at 1:00 p.m. On Tuesday, Mr. Estes found out the word had leaked out that he was going to be at the Social Security office. He changed the date to Wednesday. at 1 o'clock p.m. On Wednesday at 1 o'clock p.m., there was a large crowd, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. There was a very large crowd that was there to meet and greet Mr. Estes. And guess what? Yep, you got it. Mr. Estes was nowhere to be found. Now, let me show you the crowd. This was a crowd that was gathered at the Social Security office in Wichita, and this was a crowd of very unhappy constituents, both Democrat and Republican, of Congressman Ron Estes. Well, Mr. Estes, he's no dummy. He has enough sense to know what's going on around the country on these town hall meetings where there are tons of unhappy Democrat as well as Republican constituents of these various congressmen and senators. And everywhere they go, they're getting an earful of protests and complaints and sometimes downright anger coming from their constituents. And Mr. Estes doesn't want to have any of that. So on Wednesday, the date he rescheduled to, at 1 o'clock, Mr. Estes was a no-show. He was playing hide and seek, okay? Now, Mr. Estes has done this ever since he's been in office. Since 2017, Mr. Ron Estes has refused to have an open town hall meeting in any of his cities in his district. Now, to be honest, on March the 10th of this year, Mr. Estes had a private meeting with a group of very, very conservative MAGA followers, which was led by the Americans for Prosperity, which, if you know anything about the Americans for Prosperity, that is a group that is funded by and supportive of the Koch brothers, all right? The billionaires, okay? But that was a closed door meeting. He didn't have to face the unhappy, disgruntled constituents. He didn't have to answer any questions. He didn't have to be subjected to any anger, okay? He doesn't do that. So here he is on Wednesday at 1 o'clock when he is supposed to be, when he had announced that he would be in Wichita at the Social Security office. Instead, he didn't show up. But guess what? He did show up in Topeka. Okay? But that was never announced to the public. That was intentional. So the other part of this story that I want to show you is when he arrived in Topeka, or when he was in Topeka, I will say, here's what happened. He was met and greeted by this woman. This is Oletha Faust Goudeau. Now, Miss Goudeau is a Democrat. She's a member of the state legislature. She's a senator in the Kansas state legislature. So when ducking and dodging Ron Estes shows up in Topeka, guess who's there to greet him? Guess who's there to greet him? Senator Oletha Faust Goudeau. Now, this guy, as a MAGA, Trump supporting, Trump backing, Trump bootlicker, should tell you all you need to know about who Ron Estes is and what he's all about. And in particular, when it comes to Black people. So why would this woman, a Democrat, Kansas State Senator, why would she be so quick to embrace and skin and grin and welcome Ron Estes to the Capitol and treat him like a rock star? That's the question that I ask. Now, that's what I want to tell you, and we're going to get into this story, and we're going to talk more about that, okay? See, here's the thing. Ron Estes has been a congressman since 2017. Ms. Goudeau has been in the Senate since 2009. Now, Ms. Goudeau certainly knows all about Ron Estes. She knows about Ron Estes' history since he's been in the U.S. Congress office. But also she knows about Congressman Estes, because prior to that, prior to 2017, he was the Kansas State Treasurer working in Topeka. And like I said, Senator Goudeau was first elected to the Senate in 2009. So she's had 2 years of experience working directly with Ron Estes. She knows what Ron Estes is about. She knows exactly what Ron Estes is about. But even if she didn't even have that 2 years, certainly anybody living in the 4th district in Kansas, congressional district, knows about the actions, the words of Ron Estes. We know what he's all about. We know that he's ducking and hiding. He's been doing this ever since he's been in there. As I said, his constituents have been making phone calls. They never get returned. Sending emails. They never get addressed. Making personal visits to his office, which I have done, and never have any response from Congressman Ron Estes. Neither has any other group of Black individuals that are not MAGA supporters in the 4th district had any conversations, meetings, anything, any kind of contact with Black individuals. He doesn't have time for us. He doesn't respect us. He doesn't even recognize us. And yet, Senator Faust Goudeau, who is Black, as you can clearly see, treats Congressman Estes like a rock star. She takes a photo, and let me show you this, in Topeka, while he's in Topeka, ducking his constituents in Wichita. She takes a photo op with this congressman. And she's skinning and grinning. Look at that. And along with that, the female you see on the other side of her is a MAGA supporter, Republican, state senator in the Kansas legislature. So what happens, you see this, and you have to ask, what the hell's going on? Is Senator Faust Goudeau still a Democrat? Or has she crossed the lines? Why else would she be sucking up to Ron Estes? Is she tired of representing her Senate District 29? If she is, all she has to do is say so. And I'm sure that the members and the constituents in District 29 could find somebody to take her place. I don't think that would be a problem. Because I want to tell you right now, since this photo was posted up on Facebook with her skinning and grinning with this congressman, I'm telling you that several people in District 29 are very unhappy. And they don't like what they see. This photo of skinning and grinning with Estes is an insult to every constituent in the congressional district 4. Anyone in particular, or in particular, anyone other than the MAGA supporters. There's not a single Democrat in this district, 4th district, that has anything good to say right now about Congressman Ron Estes. You saw the photo of the people, the protesters, that were waiting for him at the Social Security office. That's why the hell he didn't show up. He knew they were going to be there. He didn't want to face them. He didn't want to hear the music. He didn't want to hear their questions. He didn't want to answer their questions. Just like almost all the other members of the Republican Party who are licking the boots. Every one of them are licking the boots. And you tell me if I'm wrong, they're licking the boots of Donald J. Trump. They're following an unelected, as they would call it, bureaucrat who is basically leading the effort to destroy our democracy here in the United States. And his name is Elon Musk. He's never been elected. He's never been voted into any office. And being a South African native, it is impossible for him to even run for president. So what the hell is he doing working in the Oval Office right alongside the president as an unelected bureaucrat? Now, let me just tell you, Ron Estes will be the very first person prior to January the 20th that will tell you and me that he hated and wouldn't stand for the idea of an unelected bureaucrat running our government. And he would tell you, and as a matter of fact, I can show you, I can quote, he said it. So I know he would tell you, he's already said it. He's on record having said it. He's on record as having said that he believes that the government should work for the people. But apparently, he's forgotten all that. He has said that he is in favor of keeping the Department of Education. He has said that he's in favor of supporting Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. As a matter of fact, the reason he was supposed to be at Social Security in Wichita on last Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday is because of the fact he sits on the committee for Social Security. But yet he won't show up. He won't show up because of the fact he knows there's going to be protesters. There's going to be unhappy people who are his constituents in District 4. He doesn't want to see them. He doesn't want to hear from them. He doesn't want to talk to them. He don't want to be asked any questions. He don't want to have to answer any questions. Because he don't want to have to lie to you. Because that's what he would have to do, because he cannot defend his positions prior to January the 20th and his positions today. And yet, we have this woman, a Black Democrat senator who is the representative in the Kansas legislature for this woman right here. This woman right here is embracing, sucking up to, skinning and grinning in a photo op with this very same congressman. And he won't go to a city in his district to talk with his constituents, to give them the time of day, to give them the opportunity to address with him and hold him accountable for what the hell he's doing by turning his back on his constituents every single day. And yet she makes you wonder, whose side is she on? Is she still a Democrat? Is she tired of representing Senate District 29? Is that the case? If so, it's very simple. Just say so. You know, you've been there long enough now. You can get a pension. You don't have to worry about that. But you see, folks, let me just tell you one thing. This is what happens when we don't hold our elected officials, whether or not it's be city, state, or national, don't hold them accountable. See, we don't know what the hell's going on in Topeka. Now, we think we do, but I want to tell you one thing. I think these things right here, this situation with Ron Estes turning his back on his constituents, refusing to have an open town hall meeting to answer questions, to discuss issues with his constituents, shows that you cannot trust politicians, at least some of them, and don't think you can count on all of them just because you elected them. And don't think that they go to Washington and do what they promised to do to you when you elected them here in Kansas. And when you have senators like Oletha Faust Goudeau, who you don't hold accountable, you don't know what the hell she's doing in Topeka. You know what she told you here in Wichita, but you don't know what the hell's going on in Topeka. You had no idea. If I would have told you prior to last Wednesday that this senator would be skinning and grinning with the likes of Ron Estes, you would not have believed me. And I would not have believed it either. But you know what they're all saying? Seeing is believing. We've seen it, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, many of us don't like what we've seen. Many of us were insulted that this senator would think that she was going to gain some support and attention by posting that damn photo on Facebook, skinning and grinning. Maybe you might have fell for it. I didn't fell for it. I was embarrassed. I was insulted. And if you were not, you should have been. This is not what we expect in a senator. This will get us nowhere. But Congressman Estes is laughing all the way to Washington because of this kind of reception from people who we think are on our side. It's time to start asking some questions, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to start holding people accountable. It's time to find out what they're doing on your dime in Topeka, as well as what Congressman Estes is doing on your dime in Washington, D.C. Because I got a feeling that right now you don't have a good working relationship and you don't have a good line of communications, and you're not asking any questions of either one of them. And you have every right to. They're paid by your tax dollars. You have a right to know what the hell they're doing, why they're doing it. You have a right to know why they are not being open and honest and transparent with you. How much does it take? Ladies and gentlemen, times are getting tougher every single day under this current administration. This is no time to relax and let your guards down. It's tough enough when you have your guards up. You see where this administration is headed. You were told about Project 2025 before Election Day. But you didn't do anything about it. A lot of you sit at home on the couch waiting for somebody else to do the work for you. You didn't vote. And now, the people that did vote and did vote for Donald J. Trump and this administration are having serious, very serious regrets. You don't believe me? Just ask the farmers out in western Kansas. They voted for him gladly. And now they're losing money hand over fist. And they're not going to go anywhere if they can't sell the food and the crops and vegetables or whatever it is that they grow to other countries, to countries in the United States. Their livelihood is on the line. Ask some of the Latinos who thought it was smart and slick to vote for Donald Trump because he was a businessman, as they said. Okay? A businessman who failed in the casino business. What kind of businessman does that? Ladies and gentlemen, open your eyes, open your ears. There are signs every day telling you what's going on. And you can ignore it. You can spend all of your time on being entertained, but your livelihood is at stake. And your livelihood depends on the choices that you make. And the choices that you make are based on the knowledge that you have. And if you don't pay attention, and if you don't do like a sponge and soak up the knowledge that is available to you, all I can say is, woe be unto you. Okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is my show. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.